China is exporting deflation, but the West is somewhat shielded from it. If a country is facing deflation, that means prices fall across the board, and it sounds like a really good thing. But if you look at what deflation is doing to the Chinese economy, you quickly change your mind. China's youth unemployment last year hit a record high, so the government just stopped reporting it for about 6 months and changed the way they measure it. And even with that new metric, it is soaring at 17%. But even more disastrous is that Chinese wages declined, but the government was able to fix it for a little bit. Last year in 2023, only 20 of China's 77 automakers reported above 60% utilization levels. Less than half of last year's car production capacity of 55 million vehicles was used. The number of Chinese companies that are operating at a loss surged by 44% in the first half of this year. And these loss-making companies account for 30% of all industrial corporations in China. But either way, deflation made wages drop and unemployment skyrocket. In fact, China has not had an economy-wide price drop lasting this long since 1999, 25 years ago. The last time China had such a long deflationary bubble, they were about 3% of the world's GDP. Now they're about 20%. Japan is an even darker example of how deflation can ruin an economy. It hit them in the 90s and they still haven't been able to shake it. Most people don't know this, but in the 90s and even in the 2000s, Japan was the world's second largest economy. It was still number 2 16 years after deflation hit it. A lot of people who are under the age of 30, they don't realize that America and a lot of the West was afraid of how quickly Japan was growing and just outcompeting us in every major technological sector. But just like China, they were careless with their monetary policy, they were careless with their real estate, and they were even careless with investing into manufacturing. And over the past 18 years, China took out Japan as the number 2 and brought them down to number 3. Now, China has an $18 trillion local debt bubble. That's outside federal borrowing. $18 billion is also the size of China's GDP. China has overbuilt so many homes that they have excess housing for 150 million people at least. Also facing massive tariffs from the US and the EU because they are trying to flood the market with dirt cheap Chinese goods, which can crush local manufacturers. China is also losing its status as the world's factory as Western markets are trying to shift the supply chain away from China, like Mexico, Vietnam, the Philippines, India. And this isn't an American journal. This is from Think China. And the US has just topped China as ASEAN's largest export destination. Crazy thing was that in 1989, when Japan was just this dauntless, scary economic behemoth, people were already saying that their economy was going to stagnate. And I've been saying this about the Chinese economy for about 2 years. What does this all mean for the world if China can't get out of its deflationary bubble? It means we're going to see a lot more economic uncertainty throughout the world. We're going to keep seeing these unexpected drops in the price of oil, like how it's priced now at around $68.50. In my earlier post about OPEC doing a production increase, that's gone. They're not doing that anymore because the price of oil is just too low. We're going to see a lot less foreign direct investment going into this country, and most likely the speculators are going to move their assets from China to India, Mexico, the other countries I mentioned. Chinese deflation may have already impacted the American economy as we've been seeing inflation drop to below 3%. We could definitely use some deflation in a few key American sectors. Why not? But if we let deflation go too far in this country, you can see your wages decrease and you can lose your job. My name is the Geo Hussar, and China's struggling economy is why you don't let a government control the market. Thanks for watching.